Susan von Richthofen was born on November 3, 1983, in São Paulo, Brazil. Her father, Manfred Albert von Richthofen, was a German-born engineer who served as a director at the State Highway Agency DIRSA, while her mother, Maricia von Richthofen, was a respected Brazilian psychiatrist. Susan and her younger brother, Andreas, were raised in a wealthy and disciplined household with strong German roots. The family enjoyed an upper-class lifestyle that included luxury cars, expensive vacations, and exclusive club memberships. Both children attended a strict German-language immersion school in São Paulo. Although Susan excelled academically and reportedly spoke 3 languages by age 18, she later described her childhood as emotionally distant and highly demanding. According to Susan, she often buried herself in her studies to avoid conflict at home. She later enrolled in pre-law studies at PUC São Paulo, hoping to become an attorney. In 1999, at the age of 16, Susan met Daniel Cravinhos through her younger brother. The two quickly became romantically involved despite coming from very different social backgrounds. Susan described Daniel's home as a place where she felt free and accepted. Over time, however, Daniel introduced her to cigarettes, marijuana, and stronger drugs. Susan also began financially supporting parts of his lifestyle. When Susan's parents discovered the relationship, they became increasingly concerned. They disapproved of Daniel's influence and frequently argued with their daughter about him. By 2002, Susan's parents demanded that she end the relationship and threatened to cut her off financially if she refused. Instead of complying, Susan became even more determined to stay with Daniel. While her parents were away in Europe, Susan invited Daniel to stay in the family home. When they returned, they forced him to leave and again warned Susan to stop seeing him. Despite their objections, Susan continued meeting Daniel in secret. Eventually, she began discussing with Daniel and his brother Christian what life would be like without her parents. By late October 2002, the trio had allegedly planned the murders. Their idea was to stage the crime scene as a robbery gone wrong. Around midnight on Halloween night, Susan disabled the home security system and opened the front door for Daniel and Christian. The brothers entered the master bedroom and brutally attacked Manfred and Maricia with a metal bar while they slept. Susan reportedly remained downstairs during the killings. Afterward, the house was ransacked to make the murders appear like a burglary. Some valuables and cash were taken before the three left the home. Susan and Daniel later checked into a nearby motel to create an alibi, while Christian left separately. Early the next morning, they picked up Andreas from an internet cafe, returned home, and pretended to discover the bodies before contacting authorities. Although Susan appeared hysterical at first, investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies. Evidence suggested the killers were familiar with the house and its security system. Police also found Susan's behavior unusual after the murders, noting that she attended social events and appeared calm shortly after her parents' funeral. Investigators soon uncovered additional evidence, including Christian purchasing a motorcycle with a suspicious amount of cash. On November 9, 2002, police interrogated Susan, Daniel, and Christian. Eventually, all three confessed to involvement in the murders. During trial proceedings, Susan claimed she had been manipulated by Daniel, while the brothers insisted Susan was the mastermind behind the plan. Prosecutors argued that greed and the desire for freedom motivated the murders, emphasizing the brutality and planning involved. On July 22, 2006, after lengthy deliberations, all three were convicted of aggravated murder. Susan and Daniel each received sentences of 39 years and 6 months, while Christian received 38 years and 6 months. The court rejected Susan's claims that she acted under pressure, ruling that she participated willingly in the crime. While incarcerated, Susan focused on education and later passed an entrance examination for a university business administration program. Although initially allowed to study, she eventually chose not to enroll due to fears of public hostility. Under Brazilian law, inmates can qualify for sentence reductions and less restrictive detention if they demonstrate good behavior. Daniel Cravinhos later progressed to semi-open and eventually open prison status. Christian also received semi-open status but returned to prison after violating conditions. Susan became eligible for semi-open detention after serving approximately 10 years. By 2015, she was allowed limited freedom, including outside work opportunities. On January 11, 2023, after serving about 2 decades in prison, Susan was granted parole under strict monitoring conditions. Reports later stated that Susan, now using the name Suzane Luiz Manfred Muniz, settled into a quieter life with her husband and child in the São Paulo region.